Hi folks, welcome to Greg's Workshop. I'm Greg and today we're going to be building a wall-mounted tool holder for my 6.5-inch Milwaukee circular saw. If you saw my review video a couple weeks ago, you'll know that I love my Milwaukee 6.5-inch circular saw. I don't have a place to put it though. I don't really have a good place. They're kind of bulky, they're kind of awkward, circular saws in general, I mean. So, like you've probably seen a number of other folks on YouTube do, I'm going to be building a wall-mounted tool holder. It'll go on the part of the French cleat wall behind me. I have a 6.0 battery on it right now, just for balance purposes, just to see what angle it's going to sit at. So it's going to be mounted on the wall. There's going to be a flush plate here, side plates, blade storage underneath. So we're going to get started by cutting out the plate that this will sit on. Now that we have our piece of wood cut to length and ripped to width, we need to cut a slot for the blade guard to go in. So I know that this is going to be one of the edges of this board. So I'm going to measure over that far. Looks like we need one side to be about 1 inch off that edge, the other to be about 2 1/4 off that edge. And then since I know the board is going to be up at the top up here, measure down. It's about 3 1/4 and 10 1/2. I used a 3/8 Forstner bit to drill out the corners. And a jigsaw to finish the cut. Now that I have my plate cut out, and I've ensured that it fits, it's time to figure out what angle we want to make this. I'm just going to kind of balance it here. See how far we have to go so that it sits flat on there, or when it falls. Doing good, doing right about there. So we'll go back a little bit. See if we can measure that angle. Looks like 40 degrees from the vertical will do it. So just a little bit ago I said 40 degrees off the vertical. That's wrong. It's 40 degrees off the horizontal, off the flat. So drawing this line, these are going to be my 2 halves. So we'll get that cut. I think it's fun when you're building a tool or building a holder for a tool or a box for a tool to use that tool to build it. So we're going to use the circular saw. So we have our 2 halves cut. Next, I want to go to the table saw and cut a little slot inside of each one to accept this shelf. So what I'm going to do is cut a dado with a regular blade. That'll be 2 passes on each piece. Got this set about 1/8 of an inch above the table. This is a 1/2 inch thick piece of MDO plywood, same as these. This is my test piece. I only want to cut in about halfway. So I'm going to run a test piece through here, make sure the depth is proper. Once I know the depth is proper, I'll run these through, bump it over just slightly so we get the proper width for the shelf, run them through again. It's a good idea when you're doing a dado like this to sneak up on it. Make small adjustments and multiple passes until you get the fit just right. So I've got it temporarily assembled here. I left these a little bit long just to allow for some room. I don't really have a plan for this. I'm just sort of winging it. So that looks pretty good. I want to figure out a way to put blade storage under here. See if I can figure that out. So I've trimmed these corners off a little bit so they're not quite so pointy. I think there's enough room there to fit a few blades if I put a shelf across the bottom with a slot to reach up and pull them out. I'm going to test fit the saw real quick. We need to put a a bottom down here, right along there for the back of this to sit on. I also need to put a strip over here to keep this off from sliding sideways. So now it's time to assemble. I cut out this bottom piece here. It's going to go on the bottom underneath that. This is going to be blade storage. 6.5-inch blades, and a little finger slot there so I can reach under, pull the blades out. I'm going to put a stopper back here so they don't slide too far back. We're going to be securing everything with Titebond 3 and 1-inch brads. Thing I need to do is put in a brace across the top here and then put my French cleat hook on. I've taken this piece of 2x3 left over from the shed build. I've ripped it down to the proper angle. We'll get that glued and nailed in there, and this will go on about like that. Time to test it out. Looks good. So that was a simple shop project anyone can do. I made it fit my saw. Your saw may be a little bit different, but the basics are still the same. You'll probably see a few more of these type of videos in the next couple weeks. I want to get all of my cordless power tools out of the bin in which they're stored and onto the wall. So that'll be the jigsaw, the router, the installation driver, and the oscillating tool. Folks, if you enjoyed that video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to get notified of new videos every Saturday, leave a comment or a question down below, and I'll see you next week on Greg's Workshop.